Ambassador Elena Reyes adjusted her formal diplomatic attire one final time before the transport doors slid open. The crystalline spires of the Galactic Council station loomed before her, a massive structure orbiting Centauri Prime that served as the seat of interstellar governance for over 9 millennia. Behind her, 5 fellow humans from Earth's first contact team waited with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. "Remember," Elena said softly, "we represent all of humanity today. Whatever happens in there shapes our place among the stars." The invitation had arrived 3 months ago, detected by Earth's deep space arrays. Humanity had only achieved reliable interstellar travel 30 years prior, establishing modest colonies on proximate systems and encountering only pre-sentient life forms. The discovery that 17 advanced species had been monitoring human progress for centuries came as a profound shock. 2 tall Calfori representatives met them at the docking bay, their iridescent skin shifting colors and patterns that their translators explained indicated ceremonial welcome. The aliens' elongated limbs moved with a grace that made the human delegation appear clumsy by comparison. "The council awaits," the lead Calfori said, voice melodious even through translation. "This is a significant day for your species." As they proceeded through the station, Elena noted how other species paused to observe them, some with obvious curiosity, others with what appeared to be disdain. The architecture itself seemed designed to inspire awe, with soaring ceilings and materials that defied Earth's engineering capabilities. The council chamber exceeded all expectations. 17 elevated platforms surrounded a central speaking area, each designed to accommodate the unique physiologies of member species. Holographic displays shimmered with untold amounts of data, while the transparent ceiling revealed the stunning vista of Centauri Prime below and endless stars beyond. High Chancellor Vrex Tull of the Phyrexian hegemony, an imposing figure with an exoskeleton that gleamed like polished obsidian, called the session to order. The universal translators carried his rumbling voice clearly to the human delegation. "We welcome Earth's representatives to this historic session," Vrex Tull announced. "After centuries of observation, the Council has determined that humanity has achieved sufficient technological advancement to qualify for protectorate status." Elena felt her smile freeze in place. Protectorate status. We were under the impression we were being invited to join the Council. A ripple of what could only be described as amusement passed through several delegations. Vrex Tull's mandibles clicked before he responded. "Full membership is reserved for species who have demonstrated galactic maturity. Your kind has barely ventured beyond your home system. Perhaps in a mere 1,000 years, humanity might evolve sufficient understanding to merit consideration for preliminary membership evaluation." The Novan representative, a being of shifting energy patterns contained within a technological shell, added, "This is an honor, humans. Most species remain unrecognized by the Council for millennia. Your protectorate status grants you access to regulated technologies and protection from hostile forces." Elena took a measured breath. In her ear, the private channel from Admiral Chen back on Earth crackled. "Accept nothing less than equal standing. We bend now, we'll never stand straight again." With deliberate movements, Elena removed her translation device and placed it on the ornate negotiation table. The symbolism was unmistakable. "Humanity appreciates the Council's consideration," she said in unaugmented English, knowing her words would fall on uncomprehending ears. She gestured to her team, who followed her lead, removing their devices. As the human delegation turned and walked toward the exit, the chamber erupted in confused communication. No species had ever rejected Council protection in 9,000 years of recorded proceedings. The doors sealed behind them with a soft hiss that somehow sounded like the closing of one future and the opening of another. Admiral Jackson Chen reviewed the data on his terminal while the negotiation team from Calfori waited in Earth's orbital diplomatic suite. 3 months had passed since what media outlets dubbed the Centauri walkout, and official channels between humanity and the Galactic Council remained silent. Unofficial channels, however, were another matter entirely. Their metallurgical problem seems straightforward enough. Chen muttered to his science advisor. Why can't a species capable of manipulating gravity solve this? Dr. Sanvi Kapoor scrolled through the Calfori specifications. Theory versus application, Admiral. They've evolved as theoretical thinkers. Their simulations say this alloy combination should be impossible, so they never attempted the practical experiments. Chen nodded. And we're too stubborn to accept something's impossible. The Calfori delegation entered, their iridescent skin pulsing with what humans now recognized as patterns of academic curiosity. Despite the Council's ban on official contact, this research exchange had been quietly arranged through academic channels. Distinguished humans, the lead Calfori said, we seek knowledge that our own methodologies cannot provide. These structural compounds continue to defy our theoretical models. Chen smiled. Sometimes you need to get your hands dirty to solve a problem. We've prepared a demonstration. In the adjacent laboratory, Earth technicians had recreated the exact scenario the Calfori models had deemed impossible. As the aliens watched, human metallurgists produced the supposedly impossible alloy through a surprisingly simple modification of conventional processes. The Calfori observers vibrated with colors humans had never seen before. This is revolutionary, one whispered. 9,000 years of metallurgical science, and your species solves in months what we considered fundamentally impossible. Similar scenes played out across human space. The Novan Collective, despite their technological superiority, found themselves drawn to human artistic expressions. Their logical, energy pattern minds struggled to comprehend how primitive organic beings could create works that triggered such profound responses in diverse species. In a concert hall on Luna, a Novan representative experienced a symphony performance. The shifting patterns of their containment field indicated overwhelming emotional response. How do your sound vibrations create sensations our analytical systems cannot quantify? They asked the composer afterward. We must understand this feeling. Within 3 years, Earth established 7 bilateral agreements with Council species. Each arrangement carefully sidestepped Council regulations while providing exactly what the bureaucracy could not: innovation unfettered by millennia of procedural constraints. Human ships began appearing in systems previously closed to them, always as guests of their new trading partners. When a Vrexian enforcement vessel intercepted a human merchant ship near Calfori space, 3 Calfori cruisers arrived minutes later. This vessel carries research materials vital to ongoing Calfori scientific advancement. The Calfori commander transmitted, "We will escort our collaborative partner to their destination." The Vrexian captain, confronted with technically legal but completely unprecedented cooperation, reluctantly withdrew. The incident report filed with the Council triggered an emergency session. On Earth, Alina Reyes, now serving as Diplomatic Strategy Director, received the news with quiet satisfaction. The Council operates on consensus and precedent, she told Admiral Chen during their weekly strategy meeting. They have 9,000 years of doing things one way and 0 protocols for handling species who won't follow established procedures. Chen nodded, studying the growing network of connections displayed on the strategic hologram between them. They expected us to either accept their terms or remain isolated. They'd never considered we might build relationships that bypass their authority entirely. Humanity has always excelled at finding side doors, Alina replied, watching as another connection illuminated on the display, representing a new agreement with the Turellian Republic. And it seems we're not the only ones who find them useful. The judgment chamber of the Galactic Council dwarfed the main assembly hall in both size and intimidation factor. Unlike the diplomatic meeting spaces designed for comfort across species, this cavernous room emphasized power. Ancient battle trophies from extinct civilizations lined the walls. Holographic displays chronicled 9 millennia of Council judgments, each marking the subjugation of species who had defied Council authority. Alina Reyes and Admiral Chen led a small human delegation into this space, their footsteps echoing across the polished floor. Council security flanked them, not as escorts but as guards. The message was clear. Grand Arbiter Vex Thul waited on an elevated platform. The Phyrexian's 14-foot frame, encased in ceremonial battle armor that had witnessed the fall of rebellious species before humans discovered agriculture, loomed over the proceedings. 8 senior council representatives formed a semicircle behind him. Humanity. Vex Thul's voice boomed without need for amplification. You have been summoned to receive formal censure for deliberately undermining council authority through unauthorized bilateral arrangements. These actions violate the fundamental principles that have maintained galactic order for 9,000 years. Elena stepped forward, her expression neutral. We appreciate the council's concern. This is not a dialogue. Vex Thul interrupted. You will cease all extra-legal agreements immediately. Council sanctions will commence against Earth and all human settlements until compliance is verified. The judgment is rendered. We understand. Elena replied calmly, pulling a small device from her pocket. And we have prepared our response. Before the guards could intervene, she activated the device. Nothing happened in the chamber itself, but the reactions of the council representatives made it clear something significant had occurred. Their communication implants erupted with urgent messages. What have you done? Demanded a Tyrellian representative, mandibles clicking in agitation. Admiral Chen smiled slightly. We have just broadcast the Terra Manifesto across all public communication channels in the galaxy, in all 17 council languages simultaneously. The manifesto had been crafted over months by Earth's finest minds. Philosophers, diplomats, scientists, and artists collaborating to distill humanity's vision for interstellar relations. Its central premise was simple yet revolutionary. True cooperation must be built on mutual respect rather than imposed hierarchy. You cannot, Vex Thul began, but alerts continued to flood in. On Calfori homeworlds, university forums were already holding public readings. The manifesto's logical structure appealed perfectly to their theoretical minds while challenging their acceptance of council authority. In Novan artistic enclaves, the emotional resonance of the human vision inspired spontaneous interpretative performances that spread through entertainment networks. Even on Phyrexian colonial worlds, the manifesto sparked whispered conversations about whether ancient traditions truly serve modern needs. The judgment stands, Vex Thul declared, but his voice carried less certainty. You will be escorted from council space immediately. As they departed the chamber, Elena noticed the guards kept greater distance than before. News arrived that the Calfori delegation had publicly questioned the censure, while 3 other species abstained from endorsing the sanctions. We never expected to win them over in a single day, Admiral Chen said quietly as their ship departed the station. Elena watched the massive council structure recede through the viewpoint. We didn't need to. We just needed to start the conversation, one that has been suppressed for thousands of years. The question of whether there might be a better way. Behind them, invisible to human eyes but spreading across communication networks at light speed, the first significant challenge to council authority in 9 millennia took root in billions of minds across the galaxy. The council blockade materialized with impressive efficiency. Within 6 days of the censure, massive Phyrexian warships positioned themselves at every charted route between human space and council territories. Supply chains severed. Communication channels blocked. Diplomatic outposts shuttered. Earth and its colonies faced complete isolation from galactic society. For 3 months, the blockade appeared effective. Council reports indicated full compliance from member species and successful containment of the human problem. High Chancellor Vex Thul personally commended the enforcement fleet for their swift resolution of the situation. Then the first anomalies appeared. A Calfori research station published findings based on metallurgical techniques that could only have originated from Earth. When questioned, the lead scientist claimed the methods derived from theoretical extrapolation. 3 Novan artistic festivals featured new human musical compositions despite the information blackout. When pressed, curators simply registered the works as inspired by previous human contact. In the restricted command center deep beneath the lunar surface, Admiral Chen activated the holographic display for the gathered military and diplomatic leadership. A three-dimensional map of Council space illuminated the room, with pulsing red indicators marking blockade positions. Operation Whisper has exceeded expectations, Chen announced. 87 successful transits through the blockade in the past month alone. The display shifted to reveal the silhouette of a ship unlike any in Earth's previous fleet. Compact, with asymmetrical extensions that made no conventional engineering sense. The Phantom-class vessels incorporate stealth systems developed by combining our metallurgical innovations with acoustic dampening principles from human musical theory, explained Dr. Kapoor. Council sensors are calibrated for vessels of traditional design and materials. Our ships register as sensor ghosts if detected at all. Delena studied the transit routes. The psychological impact exceeds the practical benefits. Stories spread about human ships that appear and vanish like spirits. Council authority seems less absolute with each successful transit. Reports arrive daily of growing frustrations across Council space. Calfori research stations experienced food shortages when Council supply ships delivered regulation nutrition instead of the human agricultural products they had grown accustomed to. The Tyrellian Republic discovered their medical technology advances stalled without human biochemical innovations. Private complaints became public protests on 7 worlds. The demonstrations remained peaceful, but spread with concerning speed. On Dax Prime, university students staged a boycott of Council educational materials, instead sharing banned human scientific publications. A junior Vrexian commander captured a human phantom vessel near the Calfori border and proudly escorted it to a detention facility. The following day, the ship and its crew vanished from the high-security dock. Investigation revealed no forced entry, no security breaches, and no explanation. 3 similar incidents occurred within weeks, prompting rumors that humans possess technology far beyond Council assessment. In reality, Captain Maya Okafor and her extraction team had simply exploited the rigid thinking of their captors. No one had considered that maintenance access panels might be repurposed as escape routes, or that cleaning drones could be reprogrammed to disable surveillance. Solutions too primitive for advanced species to anticipate. During a private council session, a Novan representative raised an uncomfortable question. How do we contain a species whose thinking we cannot predict? The High Chancellor dismissed the concern. They are merely persistent. All resistance eventually breaks against Council resolve. But across Council territories, demand for human goods, technologies, and ideas grew stronger with each passing day. The blockade held on official maps, but its practical effectiveness leaked away through countless small breaches, each one eroding the foundation of Council authority more than the last. The emergency Council session began with an unprecedented disruption. The Novan representative's seat remained conspicuously empty, their communication system displaying only an automated message. The collective withdraws support for current blockade actions, citing economic and cultural detriment. High Chancellor Vrex Tull's exoskeletal plates clicked with barely contained agitation as he surveyed the chamber. This temporary aberration will not affect Council proceedings. The Novan collective will be appropriately sanctioned for their breach-off. His statement faltered as attendants rushed forward with urgent notifications. 3 additional seats now displayed similar automated messages. The Calfori, Tyrellians, and Dax had all withdrawn from the session, each citing reconsideration of current Council directives regarding human isolation. This is unprecedented, murmured a Juraxian representative, their tentacles writhing anxiously. 4 abstentions in a single session hasn't occurred in 7,000 years. Vrex Tull rose to his full imposing height. The Council has weathered greater challenges than human disruption. Our founding treaties bind all member species to Council decisions. The chamber's atmosphere grew tense as delegates exchanged private communications. Then the main display activated without authorization. Calfori High Minister Talzin appeared, broadcasting not from the Council chamber as protocol demanded, but from their homeworld's Grand Assembly. Esteemed colleagues, Talzin began, their skin patterns shifting in formal academic configurations. The Calfora Consortium has completed comprehensive analysis of current Council policy regarding humanity. Our findings compel us to address all Council worlds directly. Vreck's tool gestured frantically for technicians to terminate the transmission, but similar broadcasts had activated simultaneously across all Council territories, bypassing central controls. For millennia, continued Taliesin, we believed unity required uniformity and hierarchy ensured stability. We accepted these premises without question as theoretical axioms upon which galactic cooperation must be built. The transmission split to show crowds gathering in Calfori academic centers, Novan artistic communes, and even Tyrellian manufacturing hubs, all watching the broadcast. Humanity demonstrates an alternative hypothesis. Their bilateral approaches, technological innovations, and cultural exchanges suggest diversity of methodology strengthens rather than weakens cooperative outcomes. The evidence increasingly supports this conclusion. Taliesin's skin shifted to patterns indicating deep philosophical inquiry. I pose a simple question to all Council species. What are we preserving by isolating the very innovation that could advance us all? Is it galactic stability, or merely the comfort of unchanging tradition? The transmission ended abruptly as Council technicians finally severed the connection, but the damage was done. Private communications flooded representative terminals. 3 more species recalled their delegates for consultations that would stretch into months. On Earth, Elena Reyes watched the Council broadcast that had been intercepted by monitoring stations. Admiral Chen joined her, his expression thoughtful. The question they're asking isn't just about us anymore, Elena noted. It's about their entire system of governance. Chen nodded. The Council's greatest strength was always its appearance of absolute consensus. Now they face internal questioning for the first time in millennia. Careful analysis suggests 8 species are actively reconsidering their Council allegiance, added Dr. Kapoor, studying the latest intelligence reports. Even some Vrexian colonial worlds have expressed concerns about the economic impact of continued isolation from human trade. Elena turned her attention to a separate display, showing human vessels continuing to slip through the increasingly porous blockade. We never needed to defeat their military might. We just needed to prove their authority rests on a foundation of unquestioned acceptance. The reports continued to arrive throughout the day, protests spreading across Council territories, demands for restoration of human trade increasing, and most significantly, questions about Council authority emerging in public discourse for the first time in living memory. The oldest institution in known space hadn't collapsed yet, but the first irreparable cracks had appeared in its foundation. 6 months into the increasingly ineffective blockade, Earth made its boldest move yet. The transmission originated simultaneously from 50 separate human vessels scattered throughout Council space, ensuring no signal jamming could block it entirely. Within minutes, the proposal reached every inhabited world in the galaxy. The opening image showed Admiral Chen and Ambassador Reyes standing side by side, not in a formal governmental chamber, but in an ordinary conference room, filled with representatives of Earth's diverse nations and colonies. The casual setting itself made a statement about human governance. Greetings to all sentient beings across known space, Elena began. Today humanity extends an invitation to join us in reimagining how our diverse species might better interact. Chen continued, for the past 6 months, we have demonstrated that cooperation need not flow through a single controlling body. Today we formalize that demonstration with a proposal, the Interstellar Concordat. The transmission shifted to display a simple yet elegant framework diagram, unlike the Council's rigid hierarchical structure. Instead, it showed an adaptive network where connections formed and reformed based on mutual need and contribution. The Concordat eliminates arbitrary membership tiers and centralized authority, Elena explained. Each species contributes according to their strengths and benefits according to their needs. Disputes resolve through direct mediation rather than imposed judgment. The proposal outlined principles including technological sharing, cultural exchange, and mutual defense, while emphasizing respect for internal governance of each member species. Most revolutionary was its approach to decision-making. Collaborative consensus rather than hierarchical decree. The Vrexian response came swiftly and dismissively. This primitive simplification of complex interstellar relations demonstrates precisely why humanity requires council guidance. High Chancellor Vrex Toll declared in an official statement. 9,000 years of stability cannot be replaced by untested idealism. The Novan Collective responded to the Vrexian statement with unprecedented directness. We will host the first Concordat organizational summit in 30 days. All interested species are welcome to attend without prerequisite or restriction. The announcement sent shockwaves through council space. When the summit date arrived, representatives from 14 species gathered at the Novan Central Hub, including 6 former council members. Most shocking to council loyalists, the proceedings streamed openly across all communication channels, a transparency that contrasted sharply with the council's closed-door deliberations. Viewers across the galaxy watched as genuine debate and compromise forged practical cooperative mechanisms in real time. There were disagreements, occasionally heated, but the process itself demonstrated a fundamentally different approach to interspecies relations. On the third day, a junior Calfori scientist proposed an integrated research network that would combine Calfori theoretical excellence with human practical innovation. Within hours, 3 other species joined the initiative, each contributing unique capabilities. This is how cooperation should function, observed a Turellian manufacturer to the gathered assembly. Direct collaboration without 17 layers of approval. In the council chamber, Vrex Tool convened an emergency session with the 11 species still maintaining their seats. Their discussion remained confidential, but reports indicated increasing discord among the remaining members. On Earth, Elena and Chen monitored both gatherings closely. The Council still commands formidable resources and military power, Chen noted. They won't surrender 9 millennia of authority without resistance. Elena nodded gravely, which is why our next move must be not just strategic but precisely calibrated. The Concordat must demonstrate its viability before the Council decides to replace diplomacy with force. Neither realized that decision had already been made in the depths of the Vrexian Command Center, where battle plans were being finalized for what would become the first interstellar military confrontation in 5,000 years. The Turellian homeworld glowed blue-green against the blackness of space, its ring system casting delicate shadows across the northern continents. In high orbit, the Turellian Defense Fleet maintained position, a modest collection of vessels never intended for major combat operations. The planet had existed under Council protection for millennia, their military serving primarily ceremonial functions. Until now. The sensor alert came at dawn local time. A Vrexian battle group, accompanied by ships from the 3 species still loyal to the Council, decelerated from faster-than-light travel at the system's edge. Their course left no doubt about their intentions. "This is High Commander Chetvex of the Council Enforcement Authority," came the transmission. "The Turellian Republic is in violation of Council Directive 37 Alpha. Your government will immediately terminate all Concordat associations and return representatives to Council oversight. Refusal will result in appropriate measures to restore compliance." The Turellian Prime Minister's response was brief. "We respectfully decline. The Turellian people have chosen their path forward." Within hours, 12 separate task forces from different species converged on the Turellian system. Human vessels arrived alongside Calfori science ships retrofitted with defensive capabilities, Novan energy projectors, and vessels from 9 other species now aligned with the Concordat. The defenders formed a protective cordon around the planet. Captain Maya Okafor, commanding the human contingent, opened a general channel to all vessels. "This is not a battle formation," she transmitted. "This is a demonstration of mutual defense, a core principle of the Concordat. We stand together not to provoke conflict but to prevent it." For 9 tense days, the opposing forces maintained position. Vrexian battle doctrine had no protocol for this situation. Throughout their long history, Council military actions had always been conducted against isolated, outmatched species. The combined capabilities of 12 different technologies presented incalculable variables. On the 9th day, something unprecedented occurred aboard the Phyrexian flagship. Junior officers, many from colony worlds that had experienced the benefits of human trade, refused orders to initiate firing sequences. The mutiny spread to other command centers. Communications channels suddenly filled with dissent from within the Council's own forces. "We were sworn to protect galactic civilization," declared a Phyrexian tactical officer in a broadcast that reached both fleets. "Not to destroy it for the sake of preserving an outdated system." The Phyrexian flagship powered down its weapon systems and retreated from formation. The remainder of the Council fleet followed, leaving the Tyrellian system without firing a single shot. 2 weeks later, young Phyrexian reformists orchestrated a governmental transition on their homeworld. Leaders who had held power for centuries found themselves replaced by a new generation with different views on galactic cooperation. When the next scheduled council session arrived, the presiding officer entered the grand chamber to find only empty seats. After 9,372 years of continuous operation, the Galactic Council ceased to exist, not through formal dissolution, but through simple abandonment. In the Lunar Command Center, Admiral Chen received the reports with quiet satisfaction. Elena joined him, reviewing intelligence feeds from across former Council space. 17 separate species have now formally requested Concordat membership, she noted, including, remarkably, the Phyrexian reformist government. Chen studied the holographic display showing the rapidly evolving network of interspecies connections forming across the galaxy. "We should prepare for the transitional period carefully. Power vacuums can be dangerous." Elena nodded. "That's why I've proposed hosting the first full Concordat assembly in our own system. It's time to show the galaxy what truly inclusive cooperation looks like." "An interesting choice," Chen replied. "From the species that collapsed the greatest diplomatic institution in galactic history." "Perhaps," Elena said with a slight smile. The most diplomatic act possible was recognizing when diplomacy itself needed to evolve. The Concordat hub dominated Jupiter's orbital space, its graceful spiral structure unlike any station previously constructed in the galaxy. Engineers from 23 species had collaborated on its design, each contributing distinctive architectural elements that somehow formed a harmonious whole. 10 years had passed since humanity's first disastrous council meeting. The galaxy's political landscape had transformed entirely. Within the hub's central chamber, representatives gathered for the historic first full assembly. The room contained no elevated platforms, no hierarchical seating arrangements, just a circular forum where each species held equal position. Holographic displays provided real-time translation in all languages. Ambassador Elena Reyes, now serving as the first human representative to the Concordat leadership circle, took her position. Her decade of diplomatic work had etched fine lines around her eyes, but her posture remained as resolute as when she had first removed her translation device in the council chamber years ago. "We welcome all participants to this gathering," she began, her words flowing simultaneously in 23 languages, including our newest members, the Phyrexian Reformation government. The Phyrexian delegate, notably younger than any representative of their species that humans had previously encountered, inclined his head in acknowledgement. The exoskeletal plates of his ancestors remained, but the intimidating battle armor had been replaced with more practical attire. "The former council species come as equals, not leaders," the Phyrexian noted, a position we find surprisingly comfortable after initial adjustment. Soft laughter rippled through the assembly, a sound that would have been unimaginable in the formal council proceedings of the past. The gathering proceeded to address practical matters: standardization of trade protocols, scientific research coordination, mutual defense arrangements. Debates arose, occasionally heated, but the fundamental difference from council operations remained clear. Decisions emerged from genuine consensus rather than imposed authority. As the session concluded, Calfori High Minister Talzin approached the human delegation. The iridescent patterns on their skin displayed formal respect, with subtle undertones of what humans had learned to recognize as philosophical amusement. "I bring a gift to commemorate this historic gathering," Talzin announced, presenting a small transparent case. Inside rested a preserved fragment of the original council chamber's central table, the exact spot where Elena had placed her translation device years earlier. The plaque beneath it read simply, "Sometimes progress begins with walking away." Admiral Chen, now serving as Earth's defense coordinator, studied the artifact. A fitting reminder of how we arrived here. "Perhaps not precisely how we arrived," Elena replied thoughtfully. "We did not reject diplomacy itself. We rejected subservience disguised as cooperation." She gazed out through the transparent walls of the hub at Jupiter's swirling clouds below and the stars beyond. True diplomacy cannot exist without equality of voice and mutual respect. By walking away from a flawed system, we created space for something better. The station rotated slowly, bringing Earth into view. The world that had inadvertently transformed galactic civilization, not through superior technology or military might, but by recognizing when an ancient institution had outlived its purpose. The Council believed stability required rigid hierarchy, Talzin observed. The Concordat demonstrates that genuine stability emerges from adaptive connections between equals. As representatives dispersed to their respective habitation sections, conversations continued in corridors and gathering spaces. Species that had barely acknowledged one another under Council protocols now engaged in direct exchange of ideas without intermediaries. The galaxy entered a new age of unprecedented innovation and genuine cooperation, all because humans recognized that some systems must collapse before better ones can be built. The most diplomatic act in history had been refusing diplomacy that demanded surrender of dignity, proving that sometimes the most profound way forward begins with simply walking away.